Hi, my dear Astro family. Welcome to my channel. My name is Victor. I have been doing astrology for 22 years. And if you like my videos, please subscribe. 60% of my viewers are not members of my family. So I would like you to join, share the video, and like the video as well. Astrology can navigate your life when the energies are used in the bestest form, and I'm gonna help you with those. If you would like to get a breakdown for your sign, then you might want to consider subscribing to my YouTube membership program, and you will get additional 10 videos a month for a little fee. And by the way, I do Western astrology. Plenty of people ask me, so here it is, now you know. So today we are going to be talking about the upcoming solar eclipse, and this is a major one. This is going to be taking place on the 8th of April. This is a total north node eclipse, and it's going to be taking place on 19 degrees of Aries. So if you have got any planets in the cardinal signs, such as Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, or Libra, I would say between 16 to 22 degrees, then you will feel this eclipse a lot, and it's going to be unfolding for you in the next 18 months. By the way, I am launching two very exciting courses. One of them is about your 12th house. We will be looking at all the signs on the 12th house cusp, the ruler of your 12th house, the planets in the 12th house. So if you are curious about how to navigate your 12th house in the bestest form, then I recommend joining that. And also I'm going to be doing a 3-part webinar series on Black Moon Lilith. And you will get a lot of psychological insight, and hopefully you will be able to solve your Lilith position of your chart as well. So all these are taking place in April. Check the dates on my website, AstroViktor.com. And if you like it, then go ahead and book your seat. Let's get started with this total North Node solar eclipse. So what is a solar eclipse? During solar eclipses, the moon is directly between Earth and the sun. And basically, we've got a conjunction between the sun and the moon. During this brief amount of time, the moon can block out the sun's light. And basically, it's kind of like a disconnection from reality. Solar eclipses always occur with a new moon. So what does a solar eclipse actually indicate in our chart? It always connects to endings as well as new beginnings, because it's a conjunction between the sun and the moon. So it's very ideal to plant the seed. But a new beginning always comes with a release point as well at the same time. Something new is about to emerge. Kind of like, let's say, if it happens in your 10th house, it could represent a new enterprise, for example, or a new goal that is coming into your life, new perspectives. Typically, the ancient people were really afraid of the lunar eclipses and the solar eclipses, just because the moon or the sun was pretty much eaten away. It disappeared from the sky for minutes. And of course, it was really scary. And they always said that the lunar eclipses are affecting the common people more, and the solar eclipses would be affecting the kings and the leaders of the country and so forth. So this is going to be a solar eclipse. So this might be talking to us a little bit more about political situations according to their principle. But I think it could be anyone who has got a business, for example. And also the solar eclipses always come with a little bit of an emotional stir up, a little bit of a drama, but also some breakthroughs as well at the same time. Now, of course, a planetary body it's disappearing from the sky. So it always talks to us about something that is hidden, or it could bring in the fear of the unknown, because of course we don't know when that sun comes back. I mean, now we do know. We know the exact time that is going to be 4 minutes and 5 seconds, for example, and so forth. But in the ancient times, they were not aware of these timings just yet. It's very interesting that the sun and the moon are meeting, because one represents the future, the other one represents the past. So the past and the future somehow catches up. So there is always a need to do a bit of reflection, what happened in the past and where we want to be. But it always comes with a bit of a secret or a hidden meaning to it. And of course, the sun is always the representation of the light because there's the daytime energy, and the moon is the representation of the night. So it talks to us about the dark. And all of a sudden, these two energies are meeting. Often these solar eclipses are bringing us some sudden realization about something as well, or a new vision, a new reality, a new piece of information that unfolds to us in certain amount of times. And as I said, this is about 18 months, by the way, so that we can start a new chapter in our life. So do you have any planets between 16 to 22 degree of the cardinal signs? Let me know in the comment box below. Now, the lunar eclipse basically is always about an end of a meta. It highlights something that needed to be released. Remember that the lunar eclipses and the solar eclipses come in pairs. So we cannot look at this upcoming solar eclipse without looking at the lunar eclipse that took place on the 25th of March. Now, what patterns have you been doing that is detrimental in a particular area of life? And that's going to be the Libra cusp of your chart. Why is that? Because the moon was extremely close to the south node, and there is somewhere which you need to be letting go, release something there, or doing major modifications. Maybe you were meant to be looking at your fears. Maybe you are meant to be dealing with those fears that has come up in that particular area of life. You need to be addressing something there. You need to be recognizing it and maybe making peace with it as well. You have been pushing something for a while, and maybe it's time to let that go. Now, that is the Libra part of your chart. Make peace with letting go of something, and it's time to focus on the Aries part of your life and giving yourself the chance to create something there. So what is Aries? It is connected with your vitality, who you are really. And one of the questions is, are you ready to grow and evolve? It wants you to be courageous. It wants you to collect all your strength and face your fears. Something needs to be crossed here. Maybe the boundaries, maybe your limits, maybe your fears. You need a lot of willpower. You need a lot of strength. And this is going to be the major message of this upcoming solar eclipse. Now, you can see that in the chart, we've got quite a concentrated energy. I mean, all the planets are within 4 houses. So it starts with the Aquarius, and then it pretty much finishes with the Taurian energy. So from Aquarius to Taurus, this is what we call in astrology as a wedge chart. And the wedge charts are when the planets are about 130 within 130 degrees from each other. And therefore, we're going to see a lot of conjunctions. And the conjunctions are always about new beginnings, merging planetary energies, and kind of like making a giant planet instead. These are not necessarily easy because we're going to have to bring the planetary energies together. Now, I would like to mention that in the spring equinox chart, because that was the start of the Aries season, you could see a Pluto-Moon opposition there, which was very much about the intense emotion and people receiving their power back, or people being tired of not having the power in their life. The reason why I'm mentioning the spring equinox chart, because once the sun moves into the sign of Aries, it's going to be giving us some indication of what to expect from the upcoming eclipse as well. And this was one of the most prominent aspects in that chart, the Pluto-Moon opposition. Of course, on a personal level, this would talk to you about how much you are trying to control your own emotion, how much people are trying to control you, or how much you are trying to control your own family, your feelings, and so forth. But on mundane level, this is about the power that needs to go back to people. Now, you also would see that this solar eclipse is going to be ruled by Mars. That's what we call in astrology as the dispositor of the solar eclipse. And you will see that Mars has got a conjunction to Saturn. Now, I did make a separate video about that, and I'm going to break that down for you in great length, but that's going to be posted just in a couple of days' time, by the way. So basically, this solar eclipse is pretty much disposed by two malefic planets. So this is a heavy solar eclipse. We should be expecting some major, maybe political attacks. People are going to be attacking the frame. Actually, I can imagine using some gunpowder against the politicians, so terror attacks. Unfortunately, it could be bringing us some type of tsunamis or some extreme weather conditions as well. Probably that is connected to tornadoes or huge storms as well. And then it could be washing away certain parts of the city and so forth. By the way, this solar eclipse is going to be going through in a part of America. But anyway, it can be happening anywhere in the world. Now, what I found very interesting that we had the lunar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse was disposed by Venus. And Venus was in conjunction to Saturn in the lunar eclipse chart. Now, what you see is that in this solar eclipse chart, actually Mars is making a conjunction to Saturn. So when Venus and Mars are pretty much like the key factors of the eclipses, it always brings in the topic of wars. One planet that is about peace, the other one is that is about a war. I mean, obviously, in order for us to have peace, we had to be in a war before. So it could talk to us about certain type of negotiations. Of course, on a personal level, this is going to talk to us about relationships. Whether we are in a relationship, whether we feel like our relationship is serving our needs, whether we feel like that we are accepted by our partners or partner. And I'm not just talking about a romantic relationship, but relationships in general. It is talking to us having to be negotiating with someone, but we are getting tired of just negotiations all the time because we want our feelings to be justified as well. This solar eclipse is asking us to be ready to a new start. In the world, probably I can see some negotiations starting, but some are going to be major clashes as well. Maybe negotiations, hopefully, let's say Russia and Ukraine. But unfortunately, there is going to be maybe a third party who is going to get interfered because Saturn is here as well, right? And Saturn brings the barriers. It could represent that, for example, we don't see eye to eye in these negotiations. And then we just run into wars all the time. Saturn says kind of like a no. Now, of course, the dispositor, Mars, is in the sign of Pisces, which represents endings. And the solar eclipse is actually in the sign of Aries, which would be representing beginnings. So this is also telling us that something is about to end and something new is coming into the picture. Now, with Pisces, what it feels like is that the veil is falling off of something. So some type of secret is getting released here. A secret gets revealed, and that pushes us to move forward. Or a hidden enemy is popping up, and we don't want to we want to be dealing with that. And therefore, we are going to be ready to move. We are ready to conquer. We are ready to win. We are ready to roll up the sleeves and take action about maybe allegations, or we are ready to finish something off as well. You know, I tend to call Saturn and Mars aspect as the long distance runner, the marathon runner. If you want to achieve something, you know, if you want to finish the marathon, you need special training for it. And you need a lot of endurance. You need to be able to spare your own energy to get to the end of it. It can be extremely tiring. And that's exactly how Saturn helps Mars to see the light at the end of the tunnel, to kind of spare the energy level out, to build that up, to know, you know, what kilometer per hour I'm going to be running with so that I can get to the end of it. You know, it's kind of like, or Mars is pushing forward to get somewhere. And then Saturn says, you're going to have to slow down. Saturn says no to you, stops you. It's kind of like, you know, the red light on the road. You are meant to be stopping. You cannot just speed ahead all the time. Or this is kind of like the speed bumps. You get stopped somehow because you're going to have to think about something else instead. This is connected, of course, to your long-term goals, what you meant to be achieving. This is connected to the society as well. Let's say people are going on the street, they are demonstrating about something, and then they get thrown at. So, as I said, this April total solar eclipse is happening on the 8th of April, and it might be putting you on a new path that you haven't seen yet, that you haven't tried yet, that you haven't dared to imagine yet for yourself. This is gonna, and also there is Chiron quite tightly connected to this solar eclipse. You can see it's just within 3 degrees. And Chiron wants to help us to heal trauma here, to gain wisdom. It tells us that, yes, we all go through certain type of hardships, but you can always use the hardships for your own benefit. You know, imagine always the solar eclipses as you switch off the light and then you switch it back on. And then all of a sudden you cannot see for a couple of seconds, right? It's kind of like the blackout. I mean, Saturn and Mars, by the way, often brings um, power cuts as well. And I wouldn't be shocked actually, because I'm seeing a connection with Jupiter and Uranus, with the Saturn and Mars conjunction, and it's in the sign of Taurus, which does talk to us about supplies. So whether it's energy supply, whether it's food supply, but it looks to me that there is going to be issues around this. And I feel like with this Chiron energy, it is giving you in the next 18 months some type of clarity in regards to your Aries cusp of your chart. This Chiron is telling us that we have been on a healing journey probably since about 2018/2019 February, to be precise. And we are meant to be, now it gets highlighted for you, and we are meant to be leaving these wounds and pain behind. And I feel like this is going to be kind of like a bloodbath between politicians, for example. You know, I think we are given the choice here whether are we going to roll up the sleeves and then go ahead, or are we going to be just continuously negotiating and maybe complaining, or it's kind of like, you know, when someone tells you to, you know, just to calm down and forget about it, or are you going to be rolling up the sleeves and then you say, no, I cannot forget what you did to me and I'm going to fight back. I think this is the two options what we are receiving here. And obviously Mars always wants to fight to the end, and Saturn is pretty much the end goal here. So unfortunately, I'm not saying this solar eclipse, to be honest, as a nice one. I feel like this is an initiation of a new war between countries, or it could even talk to us about the crashes of markets, or it could talk to us about the distribution of the food. But it looks to me also that people are getting tired of certain political decisions, and therefore we're going to see some demonstrations with this as well. I think this solar eclipse is actually reminding us to ask some questions. And we are going to be asking the role of a politician, the role of a leadership. You are going to be thinking about whether you are actually live in a democracy, or is there really independency going on? And this is about building you up to be determined, to have that drive to excel at something. This is kind of like, I just wanted to give you a better example, but the one that comes to my mind is kind of like following the herd, or you're going to be standing out somehow and you become unapologetically yourself. So this is not about becoming a follower anymore. This is about taking charge for your own action, taking charge of your own life, sitting in the driving seat of a car, basically. So unfortunately, I might see some gunpowder, some gun violence with it, or I might even see an attempt to kill a world leader. I feel like there is going to be some conflicts that are emerging, and maybe a conflict that is about to end, but a new conflict is about to start somehow. I mean, when I'm looking at this solar eclipse chart and then I'm seeing Pluto being one of the leaders, starting the Aquarius cusp there, which is, of course, threats as well as nuclear weapons, or, I would not be shocked if we would see some type of threat around that. And the intention of this video is not to scare people, but I've, as I said last year when I prepared my yearly forecast, many people said that 2024 might be a lot easier year than 2023. And I did not necessarily agree with that because I saw this new Saturn-Mars cycle about to start. And I think I mentioned this in my Jupiter-Uranus video, that there is no astrologer out there who would say that Jupiter-Uranus is going to be very great. But let me tell you something. Heliocentrically speaking, now, if you do not know what heliocentric astrology is, then I'm not gonna get into that, but that's basically looking at the sky from the sun's point of view rather than looking at it from the Earth point of view. And there, the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction already happened, okay? So it's not always gonna be happening at the same time when what we see from Earth. So from a sun's point of view, it can be happening later, or it could be happening sooner. So the heliocentric conjunction already happened, and Bitcoin suffered, I think, about 8% fall already. So do I see the upcoming Jupiter and Uranus possibly conjunction on the 20th, 21st of April to be positive? Probably not from that point of view. Yes, I mean, now I know that the Bitcoin is about to get halved. So this is something that we are expecting. But I think the predictions are at the moment that it would be going up and up and up. But I also, there's going to be a Scorpio full moon happening. And historically speaking, the Bitcoin price should rise with that. Anyway, I haven't looked into the Bitcoin charts, if I really want to be frank. I just picked up on this little fall recently because I do have got some money also in Bitcoin. So I went back and then I checked some historical data there. And but I do believe that the Pluto Jupiter actually will be helping there significantly in June 2nd. And maybe I can imagine that this is going to be the time when Bitcoin reaches record heights, by the way. But, I don't want to go into this a lot more in detail because I haven't done the work just yet. So now, also remember that the eclipses always happen around the same position every almost 19 years. So it's always worth looking at what was going on with the previous Aries North Node cycle. This is what we call a Saros family, and they come in pair. So in one of those, the Soviet Union actually tested their first atomic bomb while the North Node was in the sign of Aries, and that happened in 1949. And then that was also a year when they started developing the hydrogen bomb as well. And then in 1986, we had the same family happen. I mean, we had the same Saros family happening, to be precise, on the 26th of April. And we had some type of really kind of like natural disasters happening around that. So most likely this is going to be bringing us some type of disasters also. I think it might be making people a lot more competitive, but in a positive way. This is asking you to take initiatives, and it is asking you to stand up for yourself or do activities that matter to you. This is telling you to try out new things as well at the same time. Now, the very previous solar eclipse that took place almost on the same degree, and that was April 8th, 2005. And then previously we had in 1986, it was on April 9th. So, and then we had one on 2013, 14 to 2016. It was just reversed because it happened in the sign of Libra. Why am I giving you these dates? Because you might want to be looking back what was going on in your life, okay? But most importantly, this eclipse, which is taking place on 19 degree of Aries, that is exactly opposing the eclipse in Libra in 2023 October. So just around the corner, you might want to go back in 2023 October, looking at what was going on in your life, because that gets opposed now. So for example, if you had some relationship challenges, for example, around that, or you had an argument or a legal case, for example, then the highlight is coming now. This solar eclipse is highlighting and challenging you to make changes. And it is connected to your independence and how courageous you are about something. Aries is about vitality and to a certain extent self-mastery as well. To be strong, to be self-empowered, basically. It is encouraging you to start fresh. It is telling you that with that Chiron, if you feel that you are a black sheep, or if you feel like that you have been outcast and rejected by others, then this is telling you to use that to your advantage and be proud about, being a handicapped or that you have been rejected. See that it was the best decision ever for you. This is telling you to change, to put some of your belief systems behind. This is telling you to grow. This is telling you to tap into your own pain, because pain is good. Pain moves us forward. Also, you see Mercury being in connection to this solar eclipse. And Mercury is on 24 degree of Aries, and it's being retrograde. Now, Mercury is the ability to see. So probably at the moment, you cannot see what's about to come. You cannot see that whatever is happening to you, it's good for us. Retrograde Mercury is bringing an issue back from the past, and it could have happened 11 months before, 22 months before, 33 months before. Just as a fun fact about your Mercury, that Mercury goes retrograde approximately about every 6 years in the solar return chart as well, right? And So clearly, this Mercury retrograde is telling you to think back, to go, to revisit the past, to work through some of your pain and challenges, and think about your psychological blockages. The fact that we've got this Saturn-Mars conjunction, it is telling you to jump over some of your obstacles, that you can have the strength to overcome these obstacles. And then you also see that this solar eclipse is being squared by Ceres, and Ceres is about nurturing, food, industries, parenting. So I'm seeing some type of food shortages. It might be connected to some food companies, and maybe the leader is going to resign there. I mean, Ceres is connected to grains and stuff like that. So we might not be able to buy the flour, or or something like that, to the bread. And therefore, the cost of the bread is going to go up significantly. I mean, first of all, Canada, United States, and Mexico will be affected the most, because that's where the solar eclipse is going to be going through. But obviously, if it happens there, other people are going to get affected as well, of course. The other thing that came to my mind is, of course, with Saturn and Mars conjunction in the sign of Aries, that we might see something around health, kind of breakthroughs. So hopefully this is a breakthrough, and hopefully this is something that is positive, but also Saturn and Mars are malefic planets, so often it talks about something to do with attacking a frame. Now, of course, all these are happening in the sign of Aries, right? So Aries is a cardinal fire sign. So it motivates you, it pioneers you, it wants you to take charge. It is about leadership, enthusiasm, knowing that I am who I am, accept me the way I am. This is about heading towards something. So leadership people are really in the limelight with this. And, Sun is exalted in the sign of Aries on 19 degree, actually. And that's exactly where the eclipse is happening, right? So what I see with exaltations is that it escalates the issue even further. It makes this actually eclipse extremely heightened. It's kind of like, it is the sun on the 19th degree is definitely talking about us, a world leader, a king, a queen, someone very significant, or the best singer of the world type of energy it is. So unfortunately, this is also telling me that someone who might be in, like, greatly honored somehow, or a favorite artist, or someone we hate so much, but I'm sensing some type of attack against someone. And Mars is in the sign of Pisces, right? Always remember that, with the dispositor. And it's kind of like Mars is a hot and fiery planet, and then it is swimming in the water, so it gets cooled down a little bit. Sometimes this is about lashing out on others because we don't have the confidence, or one moment we are heading towards this direction, and then all of a sudden we get swayed, and then we start heading into a different direction. But also your belief system, Pisces can represent that you are kind of, going with the flow, and then you are acting on your own belief systems. I mean, this is also very creative. This is also talking to us about the service industry, wanting to help others, charity movements, but also really spiritual. It's kind of like a spiritual warrior overall. And Mars having this conjunction to Saturn, I mean, this would be talking to me about, by the way, the Saturn and Mars conjunction happens on the 10th of April, the exact one. And it looks like this is kind of like changing the karma. or a karmic debt has been going on, and then it's time to retaliate on that. This is the truth that is getting, someone is trying to hide it, but I'm trying to kind of unveil on it. This is about reacting to something that is going down. This is about pushing your will onto others. But Saturn is the planet of resistance as well at the same time. So Mars pushes, and then Saturn is the resistance. It's kind of like the big wall, and then I'm running into the big wall. So also, you know, I mean, what happens with Mars in the sign of Pisces, even though Mars has got some dignity in the sign of Pisces, but the ocean is vast. So it's not easy just to, you know, for a soldier to keep up swimming there. So it gets tired, and then it has to come out of the ocean, gather some strength, and then try again. It could talk to us about a major ship accident, for example, some icebergs are melting, or it could represent a mountain kind of accident, for example, or a volcano, especially in the ocean, that is going to be erupting. It could talk to us about how the government is kind of trying to force upon something. I mean, Mars represents military as well, so we might be seeing some military training or military readiness going on as well at the same time. And I also noticed that the Mercury retrograde is right on Aries, the asteroid of discord. So it's really loud energy. We are really causing some tricks here. We are orchestrating some type of chaos. It's going to be kind of like a bomb on the news, which we're going to be seeing here. I think also this might be connected to housing prices. Agricultural suffer surely. I think it could talk to us about how, with the Mercury retrograde, some type of messy airline problems. Just because this is happening in US third house, so something to do with the transportation. Or we might see that a bigger company is going to be laying people off for no reason. Or people are going to demonstrate because they feel mistreated by someone. And I'm also wondering, with the Saturn Mars in the sign of Pisces, whether euthanasia will be a big topic there, or even childbirth, or who can have a child, who cannot have a child, and so forth. There are three asteroids that playing a role here, but one of them is pretty important, I think, and Asclepius, which is on 16 degree of Aries during this conjunction. So it's bang on conjuncting Chiron and North Node. And Asclepius is the Greek god of medicine. So surely the medical world is going to get really emphasized here. By the way, its astrological number is 1027 if you wish to look at where yours is. And also I would like to mention that his daughter, Hygeia, is also in the sign of Aries right now. It's just, I think, around 5 degrees at the moment. So I think it's a medical breakthrough. And this could talk to us about some type of illnesses as well, unfortunately, that is going to be coming into the picture. Also, we've got Icarus on 21 degree of Aries. Its astrological number is 1566, by the way, if you want to be looking at that. Now, I have spoken about Icarus before, I guess, but a few words about Icarus. So on one hand, he is from a Greek mythology, and basically Icarus and his father, I think, were imprisoned. And they invented these wings from beeswax and feathers to get out of prison, basically. But they did not calculate with the sun's energy. And then the beeswax started kind of melting and the wings fell off. And then basically the guy fell into the Icarian Sea and drowned. So that's the mythological story there. And even in psychology, there is something they call as the Icarus complex, which is kind of like when you have got a goal, but you are over ambitious and then you miscalculate something, and that is going to be the fall of yours. So, by the way, Icarus can represent bipolar disorder as well in a medical world, but it talks about how the mood is up and down and kind of vibrating all the time. So so it could talk to us about inventions, and it could talk to us about, unfortunately, how an invention is not going to go always the right way, and then it might kill someone and so forth. But also it could talk to you about being overly ambitious about something, so it is asking us to be patient and to step back a little bit. So that's another asteroid that is being part of this constellation. And the other one is Asclepius, which is the god of medicine. So, guys, this is my analysis on this upcoming lunar eclipse. Solar eclipse. So I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.